Had a good lunch. Excuse me. And now we are ready to finish our note sheets. Our very last note sheet is kind of a sad day. All right, so let's put our other work away and get out our note sheets, pick up where we left off. Just more practice with our sum formulas. So here we go. We are still on page 64. We're on number 2 now. So we only have 5 problems to go and we are done taking notes. We can do our review. So here we go. Number 2. Whose is that? No. Luke, you know you can't just take stuff off people's desks. You need to ask. I don't know whose that is actually. All right, so here we go. Find the sum of the first n terms. And it says n is 90. So we are going to find the sum of the first 90 terms. TJ, that's a full-size box of Kleenex. Here we go. We're going to find the sum of the first 90. Now, anytime the directions say find the sum, we're using one of our S formulas. Right? Okay, you paying attention? How do I know which formula to use? Whether it's arithmetic or geometric? This one's arithmetic. Our common difference is, what are we adding? 3. Good. So, because it's arithmetic, we know we're going to use our arithmetic formula. So remember, this is the arithmetic one. So how many are we adding up? The problem tells us, what is n? 90. So adding up 90 of them. So 90 over 2. Now in the formula, what are these? What goes here? First and last, right? Now the first is no problem. I have the first. The first term is -2. Do I have the last term? No. And I am not, Phil, going to write this out to the 90th term. That's just too far. So I'm going to come up here and use this formula. Because will this formula give me the 90th term? A sub 90? So over to the side or underneath or somewhere, A sub 90. That's what goes here. I have to have A sub 90, the last term. So that formula, my arithmetic formula says, take the first term and add the common difference times n minus 1. So, this is really the problem I'm doing, but I can't fill in this number until I figure out what it is. So I have to do this other formula to find this number so that I can actually answer the question. All right, so what is that? -2 plus 3 times 89. 265? Now, is 265 the answer? No. 265 is the number that goes right there. So now I can work this out. My sum is 45 times, that's 90 over 2. 90 over 2. 45 times -2 plus 265. I can figure it out now. The answer is 11,835. Anybody else get that? You typed it in? Anybody have a question about that? Little tricky, you had to do this kind of background work in order to get that number, because we didn't know what it was. All right, let's try the next one. Directions are the same. Find the sum, this time of 12 terms. So 0.1, 0.2, 0.4, dot. And we want to find the sum of 12 terms. Is it arithmetic? What am I adding?
You're multiplying by 0.2.
I'm multiplying by 2. So my ratio is 2. This is geometric. I'm multiplying by 2. It's a sum, so I'm going to use this formula right here, my geometric sum. So here we go. A sub 1 minus a sub 1 times r to the nth, n is 12, they tell me n is 12, over 1 minus the ratio. How do I know it's what? The problem says, the directions say. The directions say find the sum of the first 12 terms. Otherwise, I wouldn't know. I encourage all of you to type this in and make sure you can get the right answer, 409.5. Because I'm giving you the formula, all you have to do is plug the numbers in and crank out the answer. 409.5? All right. Now part 3, our last part. What is the difference in number 3? Can you tell? Yeah.
I keep getting the wrong answer.
For this one?
Yeah.
All right, I want you to type what I tell you. Type 0.1
Okay.
minus 0.1 times 2 to the 12th
Okay.
divided by -1.
I got 409.7.
Okay, 0.1 minus 0.1 times 2 to the 12 equals divided by -1. After you type in your numerator, you have to hit equals.
Okay.
You have to, unless you put your denominator in parentheses.
Okay.
You have to, actually that won't even work. You have to hit equals.
Okay.
You have to hit equals. All right, what's different about part 3? Anybody see it? What's different about part 3 is the word infinite. This thing goes on forever and ever. It just keeps right on going. Your infinite formula is right here. This is your infinite geometric series formula. Did you wonder what that one was used for? Notice that is the only formula on the board that doesn't have an N. N stands for the number of terms. Why doesn't this formula have an N?
It's infinite.
It's infinite. There isn't a number of terms. It goes on forever and ever. So you need to figure out what your first term is. That's pretty easy. And what your ratio is. That's all you need for this formula. You need to know what the first term is, and you need to know what your ratio is. What am I multiplying by as I go from term to term?
2.
Oh no, I'm not timesing by 2. This would be 6. I'm dividing by 2, which is multiplying by 1/2. So my ratio is 1/2. Now you are all smart people. You can figure out that to get from here to here to here to here, you're timesing by 1/2. You have to figure that out so that you can plug that number into the formula. What's 1 minus 1/2? 1/2, 0.5. So we're going to do 3 divided by 0.5. 3 divided by 1/2. For some of you, it's gonna be easier just to do it without the calculator, because you're not gonna use the parentheses, and you're gonna end up with the wrong answer. 6. 3 divided by 1/2 is 6. If you're gonna put that in your calculator, make sure your denominator's in parentheses. There's 2 numbers down there, gotta be in parentheses if you're gonna type it in. All right, let's try B. That sequence is this. And your job is to add it, just like before. We're using the bottom formula. How do I know I'm using the bottom formula? It's infinite. That is my infinite formula. So what do I need? The formula, I only need 2 things. I need the first term in the ratio. What's the first term? 4. What's the ratio? How am I getting?
-2.
I'm multiplying by -2?
Dividing by half.
Well, I'm multiplying by -1/2. So my ratio is -1/2. I'm dividing by -2, which is multiplying by -1/2. So what do I have down there? That's 4 over what? 1.5? 1 plus a half? So my answer is 8/3. When you did 4 divided by a half, did you get a decimal that you would have to round off if you were going to write it down? So hit math and enter, and that will change, and you might have to hit enter twice, and that will change it into a fraction for you. I don't want you rounding off any decimals. Decimals are fine, but I don't want you rounding them off. So if you're going to have to round it off, change it to a fraction. You can change it to a fraction by hitting math, enter, enter. Every time. That'll work every time. All right, one more. Oh my gosh, this is a big moment. This is our last notes. Here we go. This is infinite. This is infinite. So here we go. What do I need for my formula? First term is 6 over 1 minus. How am I getting from term to term?
By 2/3.
I'm multiplying by 2/3. My ratio is 2/3. Now, if you can't tell, like from the first 2, look at these 2. Can you tell that you're timesing the top by 2 and the bottom by 3? I'm not going to trick you. They're all going to be arithmetic or geometric if I'm asking you to find the sum. So this one, you're multiplying by 2/3. So what do we have? What is that? 6 divided by what?
1/3.
1/3. And that is 18. That's 6 times 3. That's 18. Okay, now let's try to pull all this together. I gave you a practice sheet that says Precal C quiz or sequence series review. All of your formulas are up here. I'm going to take off the clues though, because we need to be able to tell what they are. So here are my formulas. We're going to use this for the quiz. All right, so some of these are things we talked about today, and some are things that we talked about yesterday or the day before. So here we go, number 1. All right, let's stop talking, Ethan. Ben, let's turn around. We're on our quiz review sheet. that I just handed out today. We have one more quiz to take that we have to take. Let's make it good. Here we go. Arithmetic or geometric or neither. Give the common ratio or common difference if applicable. All right, so what do you think about number one, or A, letter A?
Neither. Neither.
I have heard arithmetic, geometric, and neither.
Neither.
Arithmetic, what's the common difference?
4 and 3.
Neither.
4? 2 plus 4 is 5?
It's neither. Oh wait, I'm looking at the wrong.
We're on problem A on the sequence series review. You guys, if it's arithmetic, you have to add the same thing here that you're adding here. Are you? No. If it's geometric, you have to multiply by the same thing to get this, that you would to get this, that you would to get this. Is it geometric? This is neither. This one is neither. Is there a pattern? Absolutely. But it is not arithmetic and it is not geometric. All right, what about B? That one is arithmetic and the common difference is 3. That's what you're adding all along. All right, what about this one?
Geometric.
And the ratio is?
-7.
-7. We're multiplying by -7. 10, 8, 6, 4. Arithmetic, -2. You're adding -2. 10, 5, 2.5.
Geometric.
Geometric, we're multiplying by 1/2. Remember, if you are dividing by 2, then you are multiplying by 1/2. Does anybody have a question about that? So that section we're good on. All right, in the next section, number 2, find A sub 16. Now, absolutely nobody should be looking at these. This says find A sub 16. This is going to be one of your term formulas. Now, how do we know which one of these two to use? Whether it's arithmetic or geometric. So let's look at the numbers. What appears to be happening in there? We're adding 6. So it is arithmetic, and the difference is 6. Now, which of these two formulas is the arithmetic one?
The bottom one.
The bottom one. It has a D in it, a common difference. That's your arithmetic formula. So the 16th term equals what? First term plus
6.
the common difference times 16 minus 1. N minus 1. They tell you N is 16. A sub N. A sub 16. So the 16th term is -2 plus 6 times 15. Oh, is that 88? So the answer is simply 88. Now there is not one single thing hard about that. If you're paying attention and you're practicing and you're glued in here, this is easy. Plug stuff in. All right, number 3. We're finding the sum of 12. So right now, your BD-I's are looking here. These are the S sub 12 formulas. Well, how do I know which one to use? My sequence is this. I'm multiplying by 2, so it's geometric, and the ratio is 2. Which of these am I going to use then? The bottom one, right here, this one. R, ratio, geometric. So that formula says if you want to add up 12 of these, 3 minus 3 times 2 to the 12 over 1 minus 2. All right, let's all type this in. This is the one we were having trouble with a minute ago. Let's type it in and see if we can get it. 3 minus 3 times 2 to the 12 equals, and then divided by negative 1. I got 12285. Do we match? Everybody okay with that? We match. All right, number 4. All right, now look at that. It says find S. Kids, S. Not S sub n, S. So which formula are we going to use? The very bottom one. That's the sum of an infinite series. And here's your series. So here we go. What's a sub 1? 3. What's the ratio? How are we getting from term to term? 1/2. So we have 30 divided by 1/2, which is 60. So the answer to the question is 60. I got these kind of out of order, so let's skip 5 for a minute, go down to 6, because 6 and 7 are just like these. So let's go ahead and do those. S sub 20. Then S sub 20. These little i's are zeroed in on these two formulas. S sub 20. So which one do we use? I'm on number 6. I skipped ahead one. I'm on number 6. It's arithmetic. What is my difference?
4.
I'm adding 4, right? So I'm going to use this formula right here. This is my arithmetic sum formula. It says S sub 20. So 20 over 2. Now, what goes in the parentheses here? What's that? That's the first term, which is negative 18. What is this? The last term, which, shooty tooty, we don't know. So we're going to have to figure out what the 20th term is. That's what's going to go right here. I don't know what that is, but I have to figure it out. So the 20th term is the first term plus the difference times n minus 1. Right there. The a sub 20. A sub 20 is a sub 1 plus d times 20 minus 1. So that works out to be 58. Now, do I put that in the answer blank and move on? Hello, everyone. Good to see all of you. Behave yourselves. Precal stops for no one. I'll chat with you later.
We know.
All right. All right. So that is my last term. That is not the answer. That's what gets plugged in right here. Right? So S sub 20 equals 10 times negative 18 plus 58. Is that 400?
Yes.
Ichi, Paul, All right, number 7, here we go. Number 7, then we'll come back and get the limits. But we need to get number 7 done. Here we are. I want the 8th term. The 8th term. So I will zero in on these 2 formulas, right? This is why you never know what's going on. Pay attention. You want the 8th term. Right there it is. Which formula do I use? Well, I don't know until I figure out what's happening. What's happening in this problem? We're multiplying by -2. So it is geometric, and the ratio is -2. So here we go. First term is 12. Ratio is -2 to the 7th power. Now type that in exactly the way I wrote it. 12 parentheses -2 raised to the 7th. That will give you the right answer every time. You type it the way we wrote it. The answer is -1536. Everybody getting that answer? Paul, why are you nodding? You didn't even type it in. Okay? Alright, so that's, did you notice there were 5 of those problems, number 2, 3, 4, 6, and 7. Why do you think there were 5 of them? Because each one used one of these formulas, right? I'm going to give you all those formulas, you just need to know which one goes with which. Is everybody clear on what goes with what here? If the question says find a sub, you're going to do these. Geometric, arithmetic. Arithmetic, geometric, and this is your infinite one.
Are these going to be over?
They are. So we're going to that next. Now we're going up to number 5. And we're going to talk about the limits. Okay, now we have rules for the limits. Look at problem A and B and D and F. Look at those 4 problems. They're all exactly the same kind of problem. Look at A. What is the answer? It is not 2/5. I got tricky. It's actually -1/2. Why is the answer -1/2? Look at it carefully. Can anybody see it?
The 2 and the 4.
The 2 and the 4 are the ends. You have this situation, and that's what you look at, right? So it's 2 over -4, -1/2. What's the answer to B? 5/7. I didn't get tricky on that one. Why is it 5/7? Because you have 5n squared over 7n squared. Nothing else matters. Only look at the biggest power. It's n squared. So I got 5 over 7. That's the answer. What about D? Be careful on D. What is the biggest power? N squared. How many n squareds do you have on the top? 0. So you are comparing 0 over 6. 0 over 6 is 0. When the biggest power is on the bottom, it's always going to be 0, because you're going to have to put a 0 in the top. Alright, and then what about F, which is the upside down of that situation? Watch it. What's your biggest power? N squared. How many n squareds are on the bottom?
Undefined.
9. So you're putting 2 over 0, which is not allowed. So you either say no limit, or you say divergent. Remember, we talked about that word the other day. Either no limit or divergent. Now, we need to finish the other 2. C. Problems C and E are are the same kind of problem. Not this kind, they're different kind, but they're like each other. C and D, or E, I mean. Does anybody remember the rule for this kind of problem? No.
If it is greater than 1,
If this number that's being raised to the power is less than 1, they're going to shrink and go to 0 every time. I don't care what that number is. I don't care what anything is in that problem. If this guy right here is less than 1, we're going smaller, eventually to 0. If it's bigger than 1, it's just going to keep getting bigger and there is no limit. So that kind of problem, the answer is always going to be 0 or no limit, depending totally on the size of the number you're raising to the power. Alright, we'll finish that next time. Alright, so tomorrow we are going to do the last problem on the practice quiz, and then we're going to take our sequence and series quiz, and we will get back, hopefully, our quiz that we took a minute ago. Alright, have a good day. Go ahead and turn it off, but leave it there.